Hey everybody, Truth Seeker 333 here. Just been wanting to make a video forever, but so much to do. I've got to clean the kitchen today, and so I thought, well, maybe I'll try to do a video why I do the dishes again. And extended family living in the house right now, so it's been that way for a couple years, and dishes pile up fast. So with me at work 40 hours a week, and my wife still kind of semi-recovering from a broken shoulder, things can get pretty backed up. Anyway, here's some seeds that I grew some green beans this year, and these are the leftover seeds that I'm saving to plant next year. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to restack all this. Restacking. It's an art form, part of the dishwashing process. Can't very well do the dishes if they're not placed in proper order. Much like in life, can't really clean up a mess until we can assess the mess. Yep. Like, I've been doing dishes at this sink my whole life. As I said before, this was the house I grew up in. 3 years ago my mom passed, and the house came to me. So it's kind of a surreal experience for me to live in the house and to do the daily chores, to wash the dishes in the sink that I washed dishes in growing up. But aside from that, there's a certain way that I did dishes, and my mom taught me to just put your soapy water in one side and your rinse water on the other side. But I never liked that, and I think I always felt that it didn't clean the dishes well enough, because the rinse water would eventually get so dirty you'd have to drain that and then refill the rinse water. And so I just began to wash dishes like my friend Chris down the block would wash them, and he would just wash them with the spigot and just turn the spigot on and off as he washed each dish, put the soap on the dish on this side and then transfer it to this side, and then rinse with the running water on this side and then to the rack. So that's how I've been doing it ever since, and I feel that it cleans the dishes much better, and I'm very much into clean dishes. I don't want any food particles on my dishes or leftover residues. And by the way, this is compost for the compost pile. So now when I'm doing dishes, I keep my separate bowl, and I put the, you know, leftover vegetables and such that are left on the plates. A lot of things people don't realize are compostable is macaroni, that is also compostable, as well as rice. You know, pasta and rice being a flour product. It's compostable, so you know, just keep your little dish there and just throw all your stuff into that dish and then out to the compost bin later. So that will also save your pipes, because you don't want that stuff going down your pipes, because it will basically, it's going to compost somewhere. So eventually it's just going to compost in your pipe, and you're going to get that black buildup in your pipes much quicker. You're still going to get it because the residues, the oils, you know, food particles make their way down your pipes. Which, another good thing to keep your pipes clean is to boil a large pot of water. I think I'm going to do that. And pour the I have a little pot rack up here. Pour the scalding hot water down your pipes like once a week, and that will melt away all that food particle residue buildup in your sink pipe and such. Little tip there. So while I'm doing dishes, I'm just going to put this pot of water on the stove and just sort of like let that boil. It'll, you know, come to a boil. Boy, you know, the kitchen is really the center of all of our living here. My wife, she made some tea. She does some homemade concoctions where she cuts up ginger root like this and puts it in the water, and then throws in some of our herbal teas, a mixture of different bags, and makes her healing teas each day. And this stuff right here is compostable, the ginger root and all that. So I usually take those and I throw them in my little compost dish. And then I have the tea. I like to take that little staple off the tea bag like that, and this whole thing is compostable, paper and all. So that goes into my compost bin as well. I have another pot that was on the stove that my wife cooked beets in. You can see the beet juice still in there. What I did was I took the beet juice after it cooled down and I poured it in on one of my trees, my peach trees, because there's a lot of minerals and good things in that beet juice that will feed your plants. So don't pour that juice down the drain from like any kind of vegetables that you boil or like asparagus, broccoli, whatever, you know, potatoes. That juice retains a lot of the minerals from those vegetables and are vital for your plant health. So just a little tip there, pour that in your garden. Also, I'm going to go ahead and boil another pot of water to pour down the sink to keep our pipes in good running health here. And it'll kind of clean the pot in the same time. I mean, I'll still clean it afterward, but you get the idea. Also, when I fill this up to boil the water, I start with hot water from the tap, because that will cut down on the amount of time on the stove for boiling. Okay, I think I'm ready to start doing dishes now. Water's kind of hot here. I gotta get just the right balance so I'm not burning my hands, but it's hot enough to clean the dishes. Pretty good. Been dealing with a lot of emotional issues this week. As I said, you know, this is the house I grew up in, and you know, whenever the weather changes, whenever the seasons change, and we're coming into fall right now, I always think about my mom, because she always had a way of celebrating each season in the house. She would put up little things like, for Thanksgiving, pumpkin decorations, and she had this little thing called the holiday tree. It was a little wooden tree, and she would change the motif for each season. And she had little flags for like 4th of July, you know, just, you know. It's always like a ritual, seasonal celebration going on in our home. So I've been really thinking about this house as my home lately, and the emotions connected with that. And we're trying to get this place ready to rent it out. I could never sell it, but we do want to go back and live by the beach again. apartment living by the beach is so nice. Go down by the water anytime you want. And living in a home is a lot more work, and yeah. So that may take a couple years to get this house. This house is incredibly hot during the summer. I'm still trying to get it insulated properly, and had some issues with my knee, so I couldn't go up in the attic and properly insulate. Trying to save money. Money and resource. You know, initially when I start doing dishes, it's so overcrowded with dishes. It's kind of hard to get this flow going here because I'm dealing with a lot of stuff. You know, today I was thinking about how many ideas I've had over the years, and how the older you get, the more ideas you get. And then the more ideas you want to accomplish in life. And then the more you realize how much you are lacking in resource to achieve those ideas. Or you have the resource and you're busy achieving those ideas, but not necessarily spending enough time on those things that are most important in life. So that's a catch-22 there. So this morning I started thinking about a new idea, and that is the sacrifice of ideas. Or, you know, spending enough time in prayer to lay all these ideas on, you know, before the Lord, and to ask the Lord to compromise with you. Lord, I want to do all this. Show me what is best for you and me of what I want to do. But that's always been a conundrum, you know, because it's like, for a long time I struggled with the fact that, well, doesn't the Lord always, the Lord never calls all of us necessarily for what we want to do, but what He needs us to do. However, I am of the belief that if you're doing what the Lord needs you to do, you will have been created to enjoy and find fulfillment in doing that which the Lord needs you to do, and not be suffering through it. Of course, we're all going to suffer through everything, but what I mean to say is, if we're doing something we hate to do, and then again, that's all kind of a state of mind too, isn't it? Because we can change how we feel about things in life as well. We can change our perspective on things. But certainly some things are better for individuals than others. When I started working at United Airlines for a while, and I was doing, back in '98, right before 9/11, the whole 9/11 incident, I was working as a baggage handler, and I was doing okay, but what I learned was that my body was not built for that type of work, because I ended up getting a wrist injury, which pushed me into the office environment and purchasing and data analysis, logistics, material analysis, inventory analysis, and then into billing analyst. So yeah, what I've found is I'm a much better analyst than I am a baggage handler, and I do enjoy that a little bit, much more than other work. But that's another thing, work, and then what you feel you want to do for the Lord. But then again, isn't that a perspective too? You know, certainly there's a difference between full-time ministry and a job in the work world. Or is there? That's always the big argument, right? But I think yes, there is definitely a difference, because, you know, on the one hand, you're basically a non-profit, you know, and surviving off the goodwill of others, where on the other hand, you're actually giving something material that has to do with the success of a business entity or organization, you know, giving back to that. Whereas on the other hand, full-time ministry is more subjective, more related to spiritual matters, and not so much making a dollar. That's really what it comes down to. It's like the difference between making money, okay, doing the Lord's work and making money, or doing the Lord's work and not really making money, but just sort of taking care of the basics and putting more work into those things that are untangible, you know, storing up riches in heaven. Of course, we can all do that, right? Anyway, I've got a bit to go here, and I know this has been a long video already. So God bless you all. Keep seeking truth, and I look forward to my next video.